Fish Addicts, this is Deanna here. So today we're going to be going over some low light aquarium plants. And what I mean by low light is that you can grow these with little to no fertilizer, as well as with any of these kind of aquarium kits that you get, like the Tetra brand, you can grow these plants under these lights without any needed upgrades. So the first category of plants that we're going to be going over today are floating plants. So this first one doesn't exactly float, but it does stay above your substrate and floats loosely. So that is the Marimo moss ball. And now they are a spherical algae, not actually moss, that grows very slowly. And they do really best in low light situations. If they get too much light, then they start turning brown, as well as they prefer cooler temperatures. The next plant that we're going to go over is duckweed. So duckweed is a very fast growing plant. It is very hard to get rid of because of how fast growing it is, but they are great nitrate absorbers. So the next plant is going to be dwarf water lettuce, and this plant is one of our best sellers. This is something that we grow like crazy in our 45-gallon bow front display, as well as our 50-gallon rainbow display. They prefer a little bit slower moving water, and they eat a ton of nitrates for you, which is really useful in a heavier stock tank. And one of the big draws of it is those long roots. The only thing I find with that one is sometimes it can trap detritus on those roots, so it's always a good idea to kind of give those a good swirl every once in a while to free that debris. So the next section of plants are ones that need to be above the substrate tied onto something. So this is going to include Anubias. There's tons of different types of Anubias. You can get variegated types, you can get coffeefolia, you can get barteri, lanceolata. The possibilities are just endless depending on what you want your tank to look like. The next plant is going to be Java fern. So there's a couple different types of this as well. You have your Windalove, you have your normal. So obviously your normal is going to be taller, more spear shaped. Anything like your Windalove is going to be a little bit wispier, so obviously it just depends what you want your tank to look like. And this Java fern actually reproduces by forming spores on the underneath of the leaves, and it grows plants from that, and once they're large enough, then they drop off, and they grow even more. And next we have some mosses. So the one that I'm including under the low light spectrum is Java moss. And so, if you want to attach this onto any driftwood or anything like that, shrimp love picking through this. And every once in a while, you can trim it right down to where you want it and create a really nice, thick-looking bonsai tree or anything that you attach this to. And I heavily recommend using the Seachem Flourish glue to attach all these plants onto your rocks or driftwood. I find this is the best as it sets underwater, so you can take anything you want out of the aquarium, and then once you put it in water, it'll set for sure. Or you can just use it right in the water and use it right then and there. And finally, our last category of plants. So, these are the planted plants. So the first plant is going to be water sprite. Now this thing takes off growing. It is great, provides a great hiding space for any fry. This is the thing that I most commonly suggest for people breeding guppies or something along those lines, where they want something for those fry to hide in. And the next plant is going to be Egeria. So there's a couple different types of Egeria. One is a little bit fuller than the other one that we sell personally here at the store. And I like to use this plant as kind of a canary in the mine plant. So, it's an old-timer trick, but if you put a strand of this Egeria in one of your tanks, basically what happens is it is going to be your first indicator that something is wrong with your chemistry without actually testing your water. So, if you know that you don't test your water often enough, which you should be testing every week, then getting this plant is a great thing. So if you put this plant in your aquarium and you give it a decent amount of light, it's obviously a low light plant, so it doesn't need a ton of light, but if you give it a decent amount of light, when something is wrong with your chemistry, then it shows you. It'll turn colors, it'll let loose of its bundle, or anything along those lines. So the next type of plant are going to be crypts. And crypts are a very slow growing plant, and they'll creep along the bottom, so they are a great alternative for somebody with a low-tech aquarium who also wants a carpeting plant. These are a very slow carpeting plant, and I use that term carpeting plant very loosely, as it won't tight pack together, but it will spread that way. Now the only thing to watch out for with crypt is it gets very temperamental when it gets moved. So this is something I always like to warn people about when they're taking crypts home from the store. If you change their water parameters extensively, or even if you change their place in the tank, most of the time they will melt back. And so they'll look dead. Not always the funnest. But they will come back bigger and better than ever. They're just not happy about getting moved. The next plant is going to be a tall grass-like plant. So that's going to be Vallisneria. So you can get lots of different types. You can get things like Asiatica, you can get the leopard print, and all these are just gorgeous to me. The very active propagators, they'll propagate all on their own and send runners out to the side. They will grow quite tall in some cases. The next one is a little bit similar, and that's Sagittaria. It propagates the same way as your Vallisneria and looks quite similar, but I find these stay a little bit smaller, and you can also get a little bit finer leaves out of them. So that was my video today on low light aquarium plants. If you have any questions, leave us a comment down below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. See you guys tomorrow.